I love the way she moves, yeah. When she's watering our garden with the headphones.
Hi guys, what's up? My name is Tess. Welcome back to my channel, or welcome to my channel. So recently I was asked a really good question by a subscriber, somebody who I talk to frequently in my DMs, and they're somebody who has just started school, and they asked me, Tess, what would be a few tips, knowing what you know now, that you would tell your former self if you were just starting school? So I have compiled a list of some tips that I've realized after seeing the bigger picture and having my first esthetician job for a few years. So I'm going to dive into those tips. Quick announcement, we're almost at 6K, which is absolutely huge for me. I'm just blown away by the support, and I don't think I would be the same person I am today if I didn't have you guys and have this community and have such a strong why and purpose behind everything I do. So I wanted to thank you guys so much for following me in my journey. Those of you who have been there with me from the beginning, just starting out in school and filming little vlogs on my iPhone, thank you so much. If you are just joining now, I'm so happy to have you, and I'm really excited to see what the future holds in store. So if you guys want to join me on TikTok, my podcast, Instagram, I will put all of that information below so you can find me there. And without further ado, let's get into the tips. Okay, so this first one really hits hard. This is something I wish I would have told my former self, which is that getting every single detail of a massage sequence, a facial massage sequence, is not going to make or break you. I think I'm somebody who really appreciates small details, and that can definitely work to my advantage, but I'm also a perfectionist, and I think in school so much of my attention, which I'm sure like a lot of you, was on memorizing every detail of a massage technique or sequence that was shown to us. And really showing us this, I think the purpose behind it is so that you have some good moves in your back pocket that you can go into your first job interview and, have the ability to give a facial. And doing it over and over and memorizing and repeating those things, I think having that muscle memory is so helpful. But something they didn't necessarily tell us in school was that your client isn't going to know the difference if you sort of mixed up your effleurage and your tapotement. At the end of the day, what's important is making it feel good for somebody, giving your client an experience. I think we can get caught up in the little details and wanting it to be perfect, and that was something that was so instilled in us, was the teacher watching to make sure we had nailed the sequence. And I think I sort of just got caught up in the stress of being perfect at memorizing things, when I wish it was stressed to me more that it is, again, about the experience. It's about providing somebody with an hour or however long the service is out of their day to relax. And that is the key word. You want to allow somebody to relax. I think a great facial should be first and foremost relaxing, and I think it should have an educational component to the degree that the client wants it to be. So you'll kind of have to decide based on their cues how much information they're ready and willing to learn. But at the end of the day, make it a relaxing, nice experience and somewhere that they are excited to come back to. If you can give them an experience that improves their quality of life, that gave them, peace of mind for that hour, they're going to want to come back to you, and you are going to become more of a necessary part of their life. Tip number 2, mistakes are inevitable. Say it with me, guys. Mistakes are inevitable. There's just no chance that you are going to graduate esthetician school, go out and get a job, and never have a client say, this could have been better, I didn't like this. Complaints are bound to happen, and honestly, they are how we learn and how we grow. I think if you can sort of brace yourself for that moment and that experience and just know it's inevitable, like anything in life, I think knowing a little bit of failure is inevitable is a good thing, because it just makes it seem like less of a disaster when it goes down. At the end of the day, criticism, I know it hurts. I'm not going to sit here and act like a complaint or a critique would not bother me, because I still remember to this day the first time I had a client complain, and it's a bad feeling. It's not a good feeling. I've talked openly about this on the podcast, how that experience is so ingrained in my memory, and it scarred me because I think it was a humbling moment where you go into a spa, you put on your best, you have the best intentions, and you're just trying to prove yourself, and then to have somebody, you know, report to a supervisor or say that they didn't have the best experience with you, it's just not what you want to hear. And I think the better your intentions are, the more goodwill you have in the career, the more it hurts. But just know, getting that criticism can be really, really valuable, and what it will teach you is how to set the expectation. I think almost every mistake we can make can be tied to how we set the expectation. So I'll use myself as an example. The mistake I made was the client felt that I didn't spend enough time on extractions, and that was really what they were there for. So what I learned from that was a lesson in communication, and sometimes it's about being super thorough, and especially from the beginning, you need to be very thorough communicating what you will do, what you'll be spending time on, and really understanding what the client's goals are, because if you don't know what the client wants, there's more of a chance that you won't make them happy. So take any mistake or feedback as an opportunity to learn and grow. You're only going to grow for it. I know that feeling where you just keep repeating it in your mind and you can get really hard on yourself, but trying not to be. Only good things can come from mistakes and failures, and I truly, truly believe that. So try to take ego out of it if you can. Try to step back, take the complaint at face value, take it for what it's worth, and you never want to get defensive with a client or a supervisor. I think the best thing to do is just say, I've really learned something from this and I will only get better from here. I'm really going to take it into consideration, take it to heart, but I'm not going to let it get me down. I'm just going to allow it to motivate me to improve, and that's all you can do at the end of the day. As long as you are trying your best and you have good intentions, that's really all we can ask for, as long as you are open to criticism and you're willing to evolve. Number 3, which is actually something I've learned recently, is that products are made up of so much more than just an ingredient label. So I actually heard this from Renee Rouleau when I was interviewing her on my podcast. You guys have to check that episode out. It is coming out tomorrow, which will not be relevant for you watching this now, but it will be up by the time you watch this. So make sure you go check that out. But I think knowing that a product is comprised of so much more than just what you see on the label is important, because you are bound to be approached, if you haven't been already, by clients, friends, just random people who want to know, is this product good? And you can do your due diligence by looking at the ingredient label, and you absolutely should. I'm not discounting that, but just know that so much more goes into whether a product is good or not. And by that, I mean the formulation, the quality of the ingredients, where and how those ingredients are sourced, whether the product is pH balanced, what types of buffers or actives are in the product, right? All these things that go into the formulation. So it's a little bit tough to decide just based on an ingredient deck whether a product is good enough. So that's another reason it can be tough when clients or somebody comes to you asking if something is good. Even if I do take a scan of the ingredient label. A lot of times I sort of revert back to saying I haven't worked with it long term, so I don't have a comprehensive understanding to give you an opinion or not. I tend to default to asking if the product is a professional grade product, because I think having treatment products is the best way to ensure the efficacy of a product, but just know that a lot more goes into a product than what you see on a label. Number 4, hone the treatment room. That space is yours. It's so important that you bring not only your expertise, but confidence into the treatment room. This really comes into play when you are doing your initial consultation with your client. You're trying to understand their needs, and a lot of times I think we encounter clients who have an idea of what they want, and it really is up to you to decide whether or not that will benefit the skin. This happens all the time when clients pre-book their service, which I think kind of tends to be the norm. So maybe somebody has pre-booked a microdermabrasion treatment thinking it's going to give them a beautiful glow for their wedding. And upon arrival, you look at their skin and you realize they have cuperous skin, or they have rosacea, or they have very active acne, meaning whiteheads. So maybe they're not the best candidate for that treatment. Or maybe somebody is asking you for a really aggressive peel and they've never had a peel before. They're not on any, professional treatment plan. It is up to you to make the call at the end of the day. Yes, you want to understand their wants and needs, but at the end of the day, you should only be performing services that you deem will be a benefit for their skin. So you really got to make the call based on what you feel comfortable with. And I'm sure a lot of us estheticians can identify with ignoring that gut feeling at a time when you shouldn't have. And it comes back to bite you in the end. So I would say just really take your time with the skin analysis. You want to have an understanding of what type of foundation this person has in their skincare routine, whether the barrier is compromised, what other conditions are going on. So remember, it is really up to you to make the call, and at the end of the day, you are the one performing those services. So you want to make sure you are comfortable and you feel confident it will give them a positive result. I made this mistake in the beginning, starting out, when somebody would say, "What would you suggest for my skin?" And I just didn't have the confidence in the beginning. I would say, I think this would be good, but what do you want? And immediately, as soon as I ask them that question, it sort of demeans me as the professional, and it makes them think, she's not steering the ship. She doesn't have a plan or a vision for me. So I think it takes away from the confidence your client has in you. So don't be afraid to hone the treatment room and really steer the ship. Next, I think this is something really important that you hear, and that is that you don't need to be a jack of all trades. So by that I mean you don't need to be the best at every service your school has you learning. And really understand that, because I think in the long run, specializing is a beautiful thing. And I think it can be a beautiful thing to have a business based around one thing that you are an absolute expert at. If you are excited about one topic, or 1 to 3 topics that you can blend into a business, say it's acne and anti-aging, you can totally make a viable business off of doing that, off of doing just skincare, if that is what you want to do. It, I think, almost gives you more credibility to specialize in one thing. Sometimes you can even end up charging more money if you truly are an expert in a certain niche of skincare or beauty. So don't think it's a bad thing. Don't get caught up or down on yourself if you're not good at everything. Try to approach school with an open mind. You might end up liking things more than you think you will. And I think a lot of times when you're entry level starting off in the skincare industry. You want to be able to say you can do, you know, a waxing service, even if it's not ultimately what you want to do long term. So still try to learn and have an open mind with everything. But if in your heart you know you want to do one thing, don't let that discourage you. My last tip I have for you, and this is something I have realized from interviewing countless experts and estheticians on my podcast, which is to take your time. You're not in a rush. You're really not in a rush. I know there is a lot of glamour and excitement around having a business, and I think people think I'm not validated until I have my own name on a business and I can show off my treatment room on Instagram, and then I'll have a purpose that is, you know, really impressive and validating. I think it's so important to take your time, especially in aesthetics. Skin is really complex and complicated. So if you are thinking about starting a business, really understand that you learn so much with time. We are always learning and growing, and honestly, it's an organ. There's so many different things that can arise, and having more time understanding and experiencing the common types of conditions that can come up, and even the rare ones, and taking that time to watch how other businesses are run, see what mistakes somebody else is making, see what you love in a business, see what you like about the menu, what you hate about the menu, what you think you could do better and differently. Having those experiences will only set you up for more success in the long run. So if that's something you want to do, you know, you don't want to wait forever, and there's a certain time to take the plunge. But I think being patient and taking a little bit more time to protect your investment and making sure you understand what you're about to get yourself into is really important. You want to know if you like working as an esthetician, if you like the concept of being in a spa every day. It's very different from the lens you have when you are in school. So I would say my advice, and obviously there's going to be some exceptions, but my advice would be to take some time after school to figure out what you like doing, and just know you can always start the business. Harm is not going to come to you because you waited an extra year. So don't be in a rush. Alrighty guys, that is going to be it for this video and tips I wish I could tell my former esthetician self. I hope you guys enjoyed. Please let me know if you did in the comments, and I'd be happy to make a part 2 or a part 3 if this video is helpful for you guys. So please let me know what you think. I'm always open to hearing suggestions for future videos, so do let me know. Thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe before you go, and I will see you in the next video.
We don't need a rush and we don't need to make no plan.